Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the podcast where merchant services, digital marketing, and personal growth collide. Tune in for real talk, fresh insights, and the motivation to level up.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today on Get Your Mind Right. And this is part 2 of a really exciting episode. Make sure you go back and catch the first part of this if you missed it. Donna, your story you told just a moment ago, I had actually forgotten about this, but I know Colorado was one of the earlier adopters, and I was skiing and I was on a gondola ride with a guy. Well, he was a dispensary worker. And I remember at the time it seemed too incredible to believe, but he was telling me he got paid in cash, right? Because that's the only way he could pay him. And I'm like, that's not a thing, right? But yeah, evidently it is a thing. But you even took that a step further. So like if your bank knows you work for a dispensary and you even come and try to deposit cash, they wouldn't take it?
Because essentially it's cannabis earned income, so it's coming through as cannabis. So yes, so a lot of them are not able to get a bank account, which means they can't get any loans. They can't get an apartment because a lot of apartments, want to see, have an automatic debit is what I'm hearing in certain cities. There's just it's just kind of a ripple effect. Yeah. So I've had so many people call me and say, I've already had my credit pulled. I want to get a mortgage. And they found out I work for the cannabis industry. So we take it over. But unfortunately, it's like they've already spent 60 days, 90 days in with this other financial institution to find out they can't even handle the mortgage. So,
and one more example that always reminds me of how serious this is, and frankly, just how crazy it sounds, but it's true, is I remember having someone talk to me early on doing this where they were a landscaper. And so they were a landscaping company that mows lawns, and they just happened to take one that was a dispensary, even though they have all these residential, non-related to cannabis, all these other businesses, and they were just doing one dispensary out of their entire book of business, and their bank shut them down. And they were trying to build an argument. Look, I don't smoke it. I don't buy from them. I'm just mowing their grass. And they were like, we understand what you're being paid by cannabis. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really kind of a big thing.
I think on a daily basis, just today's Monday, I sent through, and Jason sees it, I sent through 4 personal accounts already, just from people reaching out over the weekend that received a letter for even their kids' accounts. So like the owners of the operation, they shut, the financial institutions shut their kids' accounts down.
So that fruit of the poison tree never gets fully digested.
Yes, exactly.
Good way of putting it. Yeah, good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your operations. What are some of your institution's operational priorities for this year as far as the cannabis program goes?
I think that's a great question, because it like I said, we always have to keep our eye on the ball, so to speak. And we have an obligation to do that to all stakeholders, right? Even not just our membership, but our community. And so I think right now it is a very changing time, because as Donna alluded to, we're in Ohio and Florida and Michigan, with the majority of our accounts being here in Michigan, but all 3 of those states have changes underway. So Florida, it's probably going to be back on the ballot very soon, as many people may not or may be aware. Rather, they were trying to make it recreational there last year, and it lost by only like 4%. And so it's going to probably be on there again. That could change our operations there significantly. In Ohio, it's fairly a newer program. Frankly, it reminds me a lot of when Michigan first started. It's taking sort of a slow stance, but bottom line is it was voter approved. And so you're starting to see some government issues where it seems like with the recent stay and executive order from the governor there's some discrepancy on whether maybe some folks in the government agree with what's going on versus what the citizens actually voted for. And so we're trying to keep an eye on that to make sure that we're doing everything precisely the way we should be doing it, because again, we don't deal with bad actors, and we're not a bad actor. We want to follow and make sure we're doing everything appropriately. And Michigan, there's a lot of changes, and we're going to start seeing, and we're going to be paying very close attention to this. How can we support our cannabis members with this tax? We know that for many of them, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be a very hard tax. I mean, who wouldn't it be hard for when you're talking 24% plus the 10% existing plus the 6%, 40%? Who wouldn't that be hard for? And so we're really committed, because when they do well, we do well. And so we are committed to understanding how, to navigate through that. And what can we do to help with their operations so they can stay successful? That's a big priority of ours. And again, it's a priority because, well, yes, we want to do all the right things and we want to be the good guy. It really is in our best interest to do what's right for our cannabis members as well by making sure we stay aligned and make sure we understand because again, if they don't do well, we don't do well. If they do well, we do well. And so we're in this together. But in addition to the tax, there's a lot going on. We have all sorts of other things that could dramatically change this space, like I was alluding to earlier too, with the rescheduling. Will that let big pharma in a few years from now? How will that impact our community? We also have to look at will President Trump, if the rumors are true, potentially, and even if he doesn't later on, I'm sure eventually somebody is probably going to take the Cole memo a step further and actually pass the Safe Harbor Act, the Safer Banking Act. And so if that happens, what will that mean? And when other financial institutions may or may not get involved in that space, how do we continue to provide that value to our members so they won't leave us and will continue to grow our business? So there's a lot for us to think about in that space. So I appreciate that question because I don't get a lot of sleep these days, truthfully, and nor does Donna. We'll text each other all the time, sometimes all hours of the night. Did you read this article? Because we're trying to stay on top of it for our community and really, again, not just our cannabis members, but all stakeholders. It's important to everybody. And I feel like we have a unique position, Donna and I and others in this space, where we get to be a part of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you get off that emotional roller coaster of these news articles that you read. I guess you really don't, do you?
No, I mean, it starts usually where Donna will send me something or vice versa, and we'll kind of go back and forth about it. And then we'll get together, we'll finally get on the same page about, whatever that might look like. And then we both go to work. Once we get an agreement on what that article really means or what the impact will be, Donna and I are on top of it. Let me tell you, I mean, we're out there looking for information, talking to people, going to Lansing, doing whatever we have to do. But I'd love to hear from Donna on this too, Donna. I didn't mean to steal your thunder because Donna, I just got to tell you, for everyone listening, Donna built this program from the ground up. And like I said, I don't even know really if I would have a job if it weren't for Donna. She's built this program. She's created jobs. She is what some people have dubbed, truthfully, not us, other people, the OG of the cannabis space. And I feel like I really need to hear from Donna on these issues too, because she knows the space much better than I do. But Donna, you are our superstar, and I would say many of our members would say the same about you. So, how do you feel about all these changes taking place?
Honestly, yeah, thank you, Jason.
Well deserved.
Honestly, I feel like, just like Jason said, I try to be very, very informed. I feel like once you read one news article, like your phone just knows that you're like, so you just keep getting pop-ups of a lot of them. So I do, and we do subscribe to a lot of different channels. We're part of different associations. So we try to be out there. I try to kind of vet out certain conferences for us. I do, since Jason's in Michigan, I have him attend majority of them with me as he can. But we try to just really hear what's out there. And I think most importantly is just hearing from the members as well, what they're feeling, how they're thinking, how it's going to impact them. We want to make sure that we're there for them. So, sometimes if they're struggling, hey, let's talk about refinancing your facility. Let's talk about, so we're always, Jason and I both, as he mentioned, we both come from long time banking backgrounds. I mean, I have 20 plus years in banking as well, sales, leadership, kind of all. So we know what to kind of listen for and how to be strategic to help them with next steps.
That's great.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you both that when you read these articles, et cetera, someone tells you it's a sin to worry. That really doesn't help at all, does it?
No, not in our space. There's just too much going on, so we just have to stay really focused.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised too what Donna made a great remark about really staying close to our members and understanding what's important to them in this too. And she does it so well. And I will say that we get a lot of wonderful information around this from our members. And I'll give you an example without going into too many specifics. But one of our members was sharing with us a different way of looking at the tax, for instance. And, because I was like doom and gloom and just so worried. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to help our members. What are we going to do? He's like, calm down, calm down. Have you thought about it from this perspective? And I was like, I hadn't. Thank you. And so one of my members calmed me down because we are that invested in making sure that they're successful. And so it was really interesting to hear that perspective, and it has completely changed the way I've looked at things when I read these articles. So she's right. We get a lot of firsthand information from people actually in the business doing it, which is one of the things I think separates us from our competitors as well, because we listen and we really do want to make things work. And by listening to our members, they give us a different perspective on things that maybe we hadn't thought about before.
That's good. It helps keep you off the ledge. We have the same thing in merchant services all the time. People say, hey, Bitcoin in a year, there's going to be no such thing as credit card acceptance, right? And I've heard this for the 10 plus years I've been in the industry now,
Doom
right?
and gloom. Yeah.
Mhm.
I understand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be some point in the future. It's literally right around the corner. So yeah, you definitely have to filter that out. So let's pivot to your operators, your folks that operate these dispensaries. What sorts of mistakes do you see them making on payments and really just operating their business and the banking of that today?
I mean, on payments, I think like a lot of them, we do offer True Treasury, which is a QSO, a credit union service provider that we own. And a lot of other credit unions participate in it. So I think sometimes, they might put something through and it might be the, incorrect dollar amount, or accidentally send a wire and it's to the wrong person. So we're all hands on deck to help support them. We reach out to True Treasury, we have we have basically all the capabilities of trying to help them because we know it's human error, you know what I mean? So our team is, they understand the need, and they understand we have kind of we have a Teams chat that I have at my fingertips, and they know that if something comes through, it's more urgent to just kind of escalate things. So I think that's the kind of stuff that they do. Sometimes, if they use the smart safe, which is, it's kind of where they deposit their money and then they receive provisional credit. It's kind of like a big ATM in their facility where all their sales cash goes into. Sometimes, they don't batch it out at the end of the night. So then the next day they don't receive credit, or if the safe malfunctions, we have options for them to come into. We have 10 cash hub locations for them to bring their deposits to if they needed to in an emergency situation. So the little things like that happen, or if they have payroll coming out and for some reason there's, a discrepancy in their account they want us to review. So just a lot of different things. We see things on a daily basis.
Right.
So like you're really good operators. Tell me some things they're doing that are proactive that's helping their business.
So the smart safe helps because, again, instead of having the armored cars, or they're taking their cash and bringing it to one of our hubs, weekly, that money is giving them cash flow daily. Their deposits are daily. They're basically working with a lot of really good, other operators too, that they don't have to worry about receiving payments, you know what I mean? So a lot of them have built their business based on, if they're a retailer, they're buying their product from a grower that's dependent, they know they're going to receive their product timely. So they kind of do their due diligence. A lot of our owners, operators have been doing this a long, long time. And they've actually expanded. It's funny because when we do applications, we see, like I've been seeing it a lot where I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is now a part of this, or they've expanded to that. So they collaborate a lot together, which is really good.
And I would also just piggyback on that, Donna, too. One of the things I love that I don't think Donna and others give themselves enough credit for is I think a lot of our members, especially the ones that have been doing this a while now, one of the things that I think separates some of the more successful ones, or the ones that are just entering, for instance, is they realize to have a proactive relationship with their financial institution. Um, Regardless whether you're in cannabis or any other industry, in my experience in banking, you always want to have a proactive relationship with your banker, because you never know when you're going to need something. And the last thing you want to do is come very reactively. And a lot of times, let's just be honest, when we go to a bank reactively, it's because we're in a situation. And when we're in a situation, you don't always get what you need because the risk is higher. And so when you have a proactive relationship with your financial institution, like I would argue Donna has created with almost every member that we have, we know them, we know their names. I mean, I'm looking at our chat right now that Donna's referring to, and I know every single member that we're helping on that chat. I know what they look like. I know who they are. I know where their business is. We really care. And I think that's because both our members and us have taken a very proactive relationship stance with each other. We know what each other's needs are. We check on them regularly and ask them what their financial goals and objectives are for the next 6 to 12 months, et cetera. We meet with them. We have dinner with them. Whatever we can do, Donna brings cookies and treats to them just to say hello and make sure that we're meeting their needs. Those kinds of proactive steps that we take, I think, really do help separate successful operators in any space, not even just cannabis, from maybe those who are a little bit more reactive.
Yeah, so that's good. You guys are really presenting that opportunity for them to be proactive, right? You're making it easy for them. I could totally relate to that. It's been, you're probably aware of this, merchant services credit has had some tightening and loosening over the last 2 years since COVID, and
That's right.
the acronym they all use now is KYC, Know Your Customer.
That's right. We do too. Yes, it just makes sense. And again, I think even our members, our customers, we refer to our customers as members because we're a credit union. Our members, they really do seem to take a lot of steps to get to know us and our organization and what we can or can't do, and it's very mutual. And again, when I leave one of our members after visiting them or we have a discussion, I always make it a point to ask them, are we meeting your needs? But what's next for you? How can we help? And again, everything we talk about is confidential, so it's not like we're going to share any competitive information. We just genuinely we want to know so we can help because we are their biggest advocate. If we need to get in front of credit early to try to build a case for them to say we're going to have this person needing this, let's make sure we find a way to do it. We can help them through that process. We can tell them what they're going to need to do. We can tell them, all the things that they really should know. But we can't do it for them. You know what I'm saying? So all we can do is be there and advocate, and we can't do that unless we know. And so again, I think if I were really being totally honest, like I said, it's not just even cannabis, it's all of our members. The ones that really stand out and from my experience continue to be successful and more successful are the ones that build that relationship with their financial institution.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be that way, and it makes a lot of sense.
So you meet someone for the first time today, and I see what your all's approach is. You're taking a ground of great experts. You're putting member first here. So when you meet these people, and let's just say it's a new enterprise, what sort of advice are you providing them?
Are you talking about for the business owner or are
Yeah.
you talking about for the employees?
No, I'm well, both actually. When you're going in and it's a brand new business, and obviously you guys are your approach is that if you put your depositor or your member first, I should say, then that good things are going to follow for your financial institution,
Yeah.
right? So in that vein, what sort of advice are you providing them on both banking for their business and their employees, and then things they should be looking at operating their business?
So I think here's like a really good example. So last week I was traveling, visiting our members, and what I do is I pop into non-member facilities, right? So I popped into a retail store, cannabis related, that wasn't one of mine, and I handed out a flyer and said, just wanted to let you know that I'm here in town visiting some of our members and want to drop a flyer off. We do cannabis banking for you and your and the employees, because I just kind of always put it out there like maybe they're the manager or the owner. And she turned around like so fast and looked at her coworker and said, wow, wait, you guys actually do cannabis banking? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my gosh, like it's a cash business. She did not have a bank account. So, I think just really walking in or even answering a phone call, not just kind of being very thorough on all points, right? So yes, we can offer you the business account. We can offer it to your employees. We offer credit cards to you, for the non-licensed entities, which a lot of people do have. They have the landlord, if they own their facility where, they're paying rent to that account. we're able to give them loans. I've actually received so much business based on my visits. I just had one a couple weeks ago that I went into, and he's like, "Oh, like right back there is my grow. I own it free and clear, but I could use the money, and everybody around here will not lend to me." So it's more just going out there and just educating them on all of the bells and whistles that we have to offer, like starting from the cannabis account all the way down to helping every one of their employees, personally. And even the owners on their personal accounts, they've struggled a lot. So it's not just going in there trying to win the business account. And I handle every phone call the same way. When they call me, in my head, I have this checklist that I want to make sure that I'm answering all of their questions or just informing them and educating them on what our offerings are. And investment services. I mean, I had somebody the other day, he's actually working with our investment services because he actually inherited some money and he's like, I don't know what to do with it. So we offer now with the tax, with the new added tax, we just became a little strategic. And one of my things is we have a business money market account to keep that tax money in separately. You're earning interest on it, or maybe a short-term CD. We have a really good 5-month, higher interest CD rate promo that we're offering. So it's everything that the big banks that I found can offer that we can offer pretty much.
Excellent. Is there anything else you all feel that's crucial that maybe I left out we want to address before we wrap this?
And so from a payment space, right? So do we want to give them, I guess, like any hope around what might come in the future? Stay away from that subject. I'm not really sure. I know it's tough.
Yeah, I'm just so uncertain. I really don't even, I'll talk to people about it, but I don't invite in conversations with us either.
We tap dance around it a little bit too, just because we don't want to mislead someone and make them think that they can do something they may not be able to do right now. But I just will tell you that we have been very proactive because we know it would be such a godsend for many of our operators to be able to offer merchant services. The thing is that all we can do at this point is what we have been doing, which is like meeting with MasterCard through Evolve and others and saying, what can we do? And we talk about it, but until we really feel confident it's not going to just be another workaround, we try to stay away from it a little bit. But we are trying. At least we're staying in the forefront of it. And we do meet with people regularly. Don and I met with somebody in California a few months back too. We're trying, and we hear about like the gift card programs and those types of things. And, we know about all of it because we stay on top of it. And so I'm not really sure. I don't want to open up the can of worms, but I think it's important to know that we do stay on top of it. And because we stay on top of it, when members tell us, what about this gift card thing? We're like, yeah, you're like the eighth person to tell us about it. No, it's a revolutionary thing. No, really, it's not. Trust me, I have about 6 people we've talked about that all say the same thing, but we know all about it. And so, as those kind of things come on, and there was another one too that just kind of took hold, another what I call maybe workaround that took hold recently that we were made aware of. And now I've heard about it from like 3 different sources. But there's all these sort of clever things that come around, and they never seem to work in the long run, but we do know what they are. Again, we stay on top of them. And I think if there is a switch that ever happens, and I do believe there will be one day, we will be ready and we will be prepared because we've taken the steps proactively to understand all of it and to understand what we can or can't do. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't bank bad actors, and we don't want to be a bad actor. So we try to do everything in the up and up because we know the sooner we continue to do the right things, the more that stigma we talked about earlier will get less and less. And so it's just one of those things where we just keep doing the right thing. And we just wait for the green light, whether it's from the Cole memo or whether it's from a Safe Banking Act passage, whatever that might look like. But we're ready. We're ready when they're ready, if you will.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you so much. Our time together has been extremely well spent. You both have done a good job of spinning me up personally on this.
Thank you.
I'd like to have you both back on the show. I know things change very quickly. And maybe in a few months, you all will be gracious enough to come back and you can give me an update.
We would love to. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
well, thanks so much. for the folks listening is their website is communitychoicecu.com. And Donna and Jason are both on LinkedIn, so hit them up. And they also have a special cannabis section on their bank's website. You can find that down in the box below. Appreciate all you folks for tuning in. For Donna Bashi and Jason Abate, I'm John Johnson, and I will see you back here Friday for Mailbag Edition. Until then, get your mind right.